Please do not buy a Jeep Wrangler unless it has this engine. The engine you choose matters more than the mileage, the trim, or even the price. Pick the wrong one, and you could end up with recalls, engine failures, or repair bills worth more than the Jeep itself. Pick the right one, and it could last over 300,000 miles. Here's the truth. Every week, somebody rolls up to my shop, drops their keys on the counter, and asks me the same thing. I've got 30 grand. Which Wrangler should I buy? My answer usually throws them off. I don't tell them which Jeep to buy. I tell them which engine to buy. Because two Wranglers can be parked right next to each other on a used lot. Same color, same doors, same mileage. One of them will happily roll past 250,000 miles. The other one might set your driveway on fire before you finish paying it off. I've been under Jeeps for over 20 years, and before I tell you the engine I'd actually spend my own money on, let me show you the ones I'd run from first. The engine I want you to walk away from is the 4xe plug-in hybrid. I know, it sounds cool on paper. A 2.0 turbo bolted to two electric motors, 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque, and 21 miles of quiet electric driving before the gas engine even wakes up. That's the sales pitch. Here's the part the salesman won't touch. In November of 2025, Chrysler recalled 320,065 of these Jeeps because the high-voltage battery pack can catch fire while it's parked in your garage or while you're driving down the highway. That's NHTSA campaign 25V741, and the number they told owners to memorize is 68C. This wasn't a small batch. It covered every 4xe Wrangler from 2020 all the way to 2025. If you own one, the government literally told you to park it outside, away from other cars, away from your house, and stop charging it. Read that again. They told owners not to charge the plug-in hybrid they bought to charge. And here's what makes it worse. This is the third time they've tried to fix this same problem. The first recall was back in 2023, then a bigger one in 2024. Both were supposed to be handled with a software update. Both failed. Owners with the fix already installed were still watching their Jeeps go up in flames. The real cause turned out to be damaged separators inside the Samsung SDI battery cells, meaning software was never going to save it. The only true fix is ripping the whole battery pack out and dropping a new one in. Now think about what happens if that Jeep is out of warranty. Owners on the 4xe forums are quoting battery replacements around $9,600 plus labor, and one guy already reported his main pack died at just 17,000 miles. But even that isn't the worst part. A month after the fire recall came another recall, campaign 78C, for leftover sand still sitting inside the engine blocks from when they were cast at the factory. That sand can grind the engine to death, kill your power going down the highway, and start a fire from the engine bay. 36 fires, 3 injuries, and as of early 2026, they still don't have a real fix. If a certified mechanic told you a used Jeep had 2 open, unfixed fire recalls stacked on top of each other, you'd walk. So walk. The 4xe isn't a bargain used, it's a liability. The second one to avoid is the 2.0-liter turbo 4-cylinder. This one gets messier because it isn't a clean walkaway like the 4xe. On paper, the 2.0 turbo actually looks smart. It makes 270 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, and it beats the V6 on fuel economy by a small margin. But you're buying complexity you don't need in a Jeep. It's a direct-injected turbo 4 bolted into a 4,500-pound off-road brick, and it lives on premium oil that a lot of dealers still put the wrong weight into. Your owner's manual says 5W30 full synthetic. Half the shops out there still pour 5W20 into it, and that thinner oil breaks down way faster under boost pressure, which quietly starts eating the engine. The forums are full of owners telling the same story. A 2024 owner on JL Wrangler forums went through 11 quarts of oil in 8,300 miles. Another guy, at 80,000 miles, suddenly started burning a quart every 500 miles with no leak anywhere. The usual suspects are worn turbo seals, a stuck PCV valve, or piston rings starting to give up early. And that's just the oil side. Owners have reported total engine failures at 34,000 miles, 63,000 miles, and 68,000 miles from broken pistons and melted valves. When that happens, the dealership quote for a new engine sits somewhere between $14,000 and $24,000. On top of that, this engine already had a fuel line recall back in 2021, campaign 21V-665, where a cracked connector could dump gasoline right onto the hot engine. So if you insist on this one, buy it only with a bumper-to-bumper warranty, only with dealer records showing proper 5W30 synthetic every time, and never let anyone talk you into skipping an oil change past 5,000 miles. Then there's the 392 Hemi V8, and this one's more subtle. This is the one people get wrong on YouTube constantly. Everybody keeps saying the 392 is dead. It isn't. Jeep tried to kill it twice. They rolled out a final edition for 2024 saying it was over. Then in June of that same year, they walked it back and kept it going into 2025. Then in November 2025, they revealed the 2026 Wrangler Moab 392, and it kept the 6.4-liter Hemi, making 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet, but for $20,000 cheaper. Base MSRP dropped to $79,995 with destination. The old 2025 Rubicon 392 was over $101,000. That's a bigger price cut than most cars cost. If you're getting value from this video, hit that subscribe button right now so I can help you avoid the next expensive mistake. So no, the V8 Wrangler isn't dead. It's back and cheaper than ever. The problem isn't the engine, because the 6.4 Hemi has been running under the hoods of Challengers, Chargers, and Durangos for over a decade. The problem is the fuel bill. EPA rates it at 13 city and 16 highway. That's the friendly number. CarBuzz drove one and only managed 12.7 miles per gallon with what they called a light foot. On the 21.5-gallon tank, you're stopping for gas every 250 miles. And guess what fuel it prefers? Premium. So unless you tow a boat every weekend, love the V8 sound more than money, and don't blink at $150 fill-ups, this is not the engine for daily driving. Get it because you want it. Don't get it thinking it's practical. Before we keep going, if you want your Wrangler to last as long as possible, check out my 500,000-mile Jeep blueprint. It's packed with maintenance schedules, common failures, and the simple things that save owners thousands. You'll find it linked in the description below. Now let's talk about the Jeep I actually own, the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. This is the engine I'd spend my own money on tomorrow, and I want to walk you through why. It's naturally aspirated, no turbos to overheat, no batteries to catch fire, no sand from the factory floor grinding your bearings. Just a 3.6-liter V6 making 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, and Jeep has been building this thing since 2011. As of 2019, Chrysler had already built 10 million Pentastars. 10 million. When you build that many of anything, the bugs get found and fixed. And they did. The reliability data on this engine is quietly incredible. There's a documented Ram ProMaster still running past 600,000 miles. On the Wrangler forums, one owner tracked down a Seattle taxi driver with over 170,000 miles on the original engine. Still smooth, still no problems. Another owner just rolled past 208,000 miles on his 2013 JKU Rubicon and says it still runs like the day he bought it. The consensus you'll see on Motor Reviewer and every real Jeep forum is that the Pentastar comfortably runs to 250 to 300,000 miles, with a handful of freaks making it to 500,000. That kind of longevity in a Jeep engine used to be impossible. That's why it's the engine I trust. But I'm not going to lie to you about it either. The Pentastar has its weak points, and if you know them going in, you can either avoid them or budget for them. That's how you buy smart instead of buying luck. The first thing to know is the oil filter housing leak. Every Pentastar mechanic on the planet has seen this one, and it's the #1 repair on this engine. Sitting deep in the valley between the cylinder heads is a plastic oil filter housing that doubles as your oil cooler. Over time, plastic that lives under constant heat gets brittle and cracks. The O-rings underneath it also harden and start seeping. When it goes, oil pools inside the engine valley, then drips down the back of the block right onto the transmission. From the outside, it looks like a rear main seal leak, and half of Jeep owners misdiagnose it as one. The dealer will quote you somewhere between $600 and $1,500 to fix it because they have to pull both intake manifolds off just to reach it. Here's the workaround your dealer probably won't mention. Dorman makes an all-aluminum replacement housing that solves the problem for good. You do it once, and you never worry about it again. And the tip that saves people the most heartbreak is this. When you change your oil, do not gorilla torque the filter cap. Follow the 18 foot-pound spec and use a torque wrench. Every Jiffy Lube kid who cranks down on that cap is one of the reasons this part fails early. The failure isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Just budget for it and pick your solution before it picks you. The second thing is the lifter tick and rocker arm wear. If a used Pentastar starts making a rhythmic ticking sound from the top end that gets louder as it warms up, that's the rocker arm bearing starting to fail. Left alone, the roller pin inside the rocker arm eats itself. Then it starts chewing chunks out of the camshaft lobes underneath. Once you're grinding metal off the cam, you're not fixing it with a $200 rocker. You're pulling the top of the engine apart, and the bill runs anywhere from $1,500 to $4,500. There was a class action lawsuit filed against Stellantis for exactly this on 2014 to 2020 Pentastars, so you're not imagining it if you hear it. The key is catching it early. If the tick shows up, don't ignore it. Get to a Jeep mechanic that same week and get the rockers replaced before the cam goes with them. Prevention here is the difference between a small bill and a giant one. The third thing is the left cylinder head problem on 2011 to 2013 Wranglers. This one's really important if you're buying anything from JK generation. Between 2011 and mid-2012, Chrysler was building the left cylinder head with valve seats and guides that weren't hardened correctly. They'd overheat, wear down, and cause a misfire on cylinder 2, 4, or 6. Symptoms are a ticking sound, a check engine light with codes P0300, P0302, P0304, or P0306, and a rough idle. Chrysler acknowledged it under Service Bulletin 09-002-14 and extended the warranty on the left head to 10 years or 150,000 miles under warranty extension X56. Production got fixed in the summer of 2012 with a new head casting called RL141353AC. So the safe move on a used JK is this. Stick to 2014 and newer 3.6 Pentastar Wranglers. If you absolutely have to buy a 2012 or 2013, get a leak down test done on cylinders 2, 4, and 6 before you write a check. Anything above 25% leakage confirms the bad head. The extended warranty expires 10 years from the original sale date, so on most of these it's already gone, and a repair now runs about $3,400 out of pocket. Now let's talk about the year to actually look for. If this were my money and I was hunting a used Wrangler tomorrow, here's what I'd chase. On the JK generation, that's 2007 through 2018, I'd only look at 2015 through 2018 with the 3.6 Pentastar. That skips all the left cylinder head drama and lands you in the years where the oil cooler housing was already revised. On the newer JL generation, that's 2018 and up, I'd focus on 2019 through 2021 or 2024 and newer, because Jeep dropped the e-torque mild hybrid system from the Wrangler for 2024. That e-torque system used a 48-volt auxiliary battery that owners hate because when it dies, it drains the main battery too and leaves you stranded. Cleaner and simpler is always better on a Jeep you plan to keep for a decade. And I need to warn you about one more thing that applies to every Wrangler with a solid front axle, no matter which engine it has. It's called the death wobble. When you hit a bump around highway speeds, the entire front end starts violently shaking side to side. Jeep settled a class action on this in 2023, covering about 1.1 million Wranglers and Gladiators from 2018 to 2020, and they extended the steering damper warranty out to 8 years or 90,000 miles. But the damper is a band-aid. The real cause is worn track bars, ball joints, and bushings. If a used Jeep does the wobble on your test drive, walk. It doesn't matter how good the engine is if the front end tries to buck you off at 60 miles an hour. Here's what to actually do when you find a Pentastar Wrangler. Cold start is your best diagnostic tool. Ask the seller to leave the Jeep sitting overnight, then fire it up in the morning and just listen for the first 30 seconds. A healthy Pentastar wakes up quickly and quietly. If you hear a rhythmic ticking that lingers as the engine warms, that's the rocker arm wear I told you about. Walk, or negotiate the price down by at least $2,000 to cover the repair. Next, Get on your back and check underneath. Look at the back of the engine block right where it meets the transmission bell housing. If you see fresh oil, you're already inside the oil cooler leak. That's another $600 to $1,500, depending on if you go OEM plastic or upgrade to dormant aluminum. Then ask for the service records. If the owner can't tell you when the oil was last changed, or if intervals stretched past 8,000 miles regularly, walk. That's the kind of ownership pattern that fed the lifter failures on the ones that broke early. On the current market, a solid 2015 to 2018 JK with a clean Pentastar sits between $18,000 and $28,000 depending on trim. A 2019 to 2021 JL runs $25,000 to $40,000. Wranglers hold value better than almost any SUV on the market, with the four-door losing only about 31% over 5 years compared to the all-vehicle average of nearly 50%. So that Pentastar premium comes back to you when you sell it. The engine is what makes or breaks a Wrangler. Buy the right one, keep up with the maintenance, and it could still be on the road decades from now. Now I want to hear from you. Which Wrangler are you thinking about buying? Drop the year, engine, and mileage in the comments, and I'll tell you if I think it's a smart buy. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and click the video on your screen because there's another expensive Jeep mistake you need to avoid. I'll see you over there.